try to wake up at 7 o'clock, but mostly it gets 7:15 or later. When I finally get myself together, I get reminded how cold it is still. So after washing myself, I rolled out my mat and I do my morning yoga. Doing yoga makes me motivated for the day and mostly gets rid of the morning cold, as I probably have some poor circulation. Sometimes it takes me a lot of effort, but I feel energized afterwards and I never regretted it. I would like to stretch. There are really different kinds of yoga I like to do in the morning, but sometimes I really like to do like more of an easygoing session, especially if I did a workout the day before, and most of the time I'm so cold after that, so I also like to drink hot water with lemon and ginger for my first lecture. So it's really like that when you sit, you're getting much faster cold again. So I think drinking something warm in the morning is never a bad idea, especially in winter and if it's not quite warm. My uni days always starts at 8 a.m. and all lectures are via Zoom these days, and I make my notes on my iPad. This is the most convenient thing for me, as I can easily add photos or screenshots to my notes, or also annotate the slides that we get. And I also can edit all of this afterwards if I want to, or if I want to do something really nice looking. Also, I'm happy I don't have to print everything. I'm happy I don't have to print every single text I have to read. So I'm saving paper and I don't get cluttered with physical things that will eventually have to be thrown away or rather recycled, like paper could be recycled. So before breakfast, I've already been in Cuba and learned some interesting facts about Havana, and it's opened challenges and packed this knowledge into my architectural backpack, ready to use it when the chance comes. Urban design is one of the most important and exciting fields for me, and I really enjoy the lectures, even though it's so early in the morning. at 9:30, it is time to prepare breakfast. I try to do intermittent fasting, but with the lectures going on, it's not very convenient, not always. I read about several benefits of intermittent fasting, but two significant for me are better metabolism and improved mental concentration. I really noticed that I have much more energy in the morning for the first lecture, as my body doesn't need the energy for digestion, but can rather put it into my brain. After breakfast, I actually feel less concentrated, but the good thing about live lectures is that you can't just stop it and take a break. And watching them afterwards is most of the time not such a good idea for me. I tend to lack motivation to actually watch it, and it is so-called free time, which isn't actually free time because when you study, there's almost no free time in my case, and by that I mean free time for doing nothing. Of course, it's important to make other things like sports, meeting friends, or making music in my case, but everything needs to be planned quite well. As for now, at the beginning of the semester, it's not as bad as this could get, but the time will come. I told you, the time will come. After my second lecture about the history of urban design, I eat lunch already if I'm hungry, and I'm always happy about leftovers so I don't have to do something new. Sometimes I also eat later, but it really depends on the day. And it's time for another history session, the things of modernity this semester. What I really appreciate is the reading seminar we always have in smaller groups. It's true, we have to read texts and prepare them, but seeing others via Zoom or not and having a discussion is invaluable when you're home most of the time. Sometimes I like to check my phone during the lecture if it's not that interesting. At the moment, I know it's probably not the best thing to do, but I really like it to do it in this time rather than spending like an extra hour in my free time for doing so. So I think it's not as bad. After 6 lectures, I feel like I will deserve doing a little break from the screen. Of course, as long as there's no pressing work to do for drawing or something. So I remember to water my plants, because I almost can hear them crying for water. But in winter, I was very hesitant to water them frequently, because I was really afraid that pests may come by. Well, they did partly for my monstera, but I think sprinkling the plant should do it for now. If I'm up to it, I like to read something different than my uni stuff, and I find it often very rewarding for my personal as well as my academic education, as many topics interests me and also help me to understand a lot of things related to architecture and life, of course. And some brain food cannot be missed in the afternoon as well, as otherwise it might happen that I'm gonna snooze in a lecture. It is not funny, I really mean it. Around 4 it gets really hard for me to keep concentrated and awake if I don't do something engaging. And eating something healthy and sweet helps too. Another thing that I also try to integrate every single day is to go outside for a walk or some other activity. Unfortunately, I'm not that good at keeping up with, this 10,000 steps a day, because I just don't find the time for this most of the time. But I really like to be healthy and to do things like that. I also like to go running, but this is not something that I'd really like. So there's a little bit of a conflict here. If I go alone, I like to listen to music to wind down a little bit, or to a good podcast. This day I met some poor and caged cows. They are really sweet, and I often see them. And a horse. Aren't horses beautiful creatures? Back from the walk, it's time for my Spanish course. I decided to learn Spanish because I really like the language, and I also think it could be quite useful someday for travel or something. The courses are really funny, but still I want to learn something. So right after, I always try to make flashcards so I can learn some vocab. This week there also happened to be an assembly of the Students' Association of Architecture, so I attended it simultaneously. I know multitasking is quite overrated and not good in that sense, but sometimes I just don't see another solution. it was very long. So I also brainstormed some ideas for a merge for the rowing regatta I'm training for at the moment. So I could use the time for two things. Have I ever told you how cool Illustrator on the iPad is? You should check it out. This is the best thing that ever was invented, I think. So yeah, I'm using it quite a lot recently for, like this time for some kind of logo design, but also for like vector illustrations, just for fun. And yeah, I really enjoy doing this. I could consider it free time recording. Somewhere in between the time that I sat on my computer, which is not good to my eyes, I ate dinner, completed my evening routine, and finally, but still way too late, I shut down my laptop and went to bed to end this exhausting, but I would say productive day studying at ETH.